We are here with Blue Sky Gallery at PCC campus. My name is David Torres, co-faculty chair of Cascade, and this here is my partner Kim Manchester, faculty department chair for Southeast. First and foremost, I want to thank you guys so much, and straight up apologies for the lack of information in regards to sort of getting our notes. Some of you guys were lost, and how was your finder career? Please take a seat. All right. For today's symposium, we just want to sort of make sure you guys feel welcome and comfortable. We have a series of amazing events and talks brought to you by both Blue Sky Gallery and our visiting artists for this as well. You guys is sort of like a brief history of sort of like what we're trying to do here. One, we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of Blue Sky Gallery. It's been here for so long. And an amazing the Prestige Photo Gallery here. And it means so much that they're on our campus. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. It's important that we're able to sort of serve our community. So as this event goes on, if you guys have any, suggestions or things that you want to see for future symposiums, future things for Blue Sky Gallery, please let us know. But with that, I want to pass this off to Kim Manchester. Kim, take it away.
All right, thank you, David.
Of course.
Thank you so much. Welcome to Agency in the Image. Today and tomorrow present a fantastic opportunity for our shared communities to gather and to examine the role of agency in photography, from writing your first or 100th artist statement to the existential exercise of building a body of work and then, God forbid, sharing it. We've invited you here to add your voice, make connections, and engage together in a weekend of celebration. The partnership between Blue Sky, Oregon Center for the Photographic Arts, and PCC is an example of how, by working collaboratively, we can provide opportunities for the communities that we serve to thrive. This is a shared effort, and nothing happens by one person alone. This is something that came together because of individuals who had ideas, who reached out, and for all the parts that every one of you are playing right now, and the people who are behind the scenes. I want to take a moment to sit in gratitude here. My colleague David Torres reached out to me summer?
It was spring, yeah.
Spring?
Yeah.
To ask if I'd like to work with him and Kristin Solomon on a symposium to celebrate this anniversary. Working with the two of you and with the Blue Sky team has been such a joy and such a privilege. It's been fantastic. Sometimes momentous change starts not just with an idea, but by extending an invitation, by reaching out and asking someone to join in. Remember that as you move through today and tomorrow. Extend a hand, take a chance, ask a question, and if it feels right, even if you're nervous, say yes. Say yes to yourself, say yes to being curious, say yes to bringing who you are to your work, your art, and your life. Thank you, David, for being the spark that started this adventure. I appreciate you.
My pleasure.
It's been an incredible pleasure to work with you, Christopher, Kristin, and the staff, who are, without a doubt, the heart and the hands of Blue Sky as a center for photography and a space for belonging and opportunity for emerging and experienced artists. C, M, Yu-Yang, thank you for all your time, tremendous attention to detail, and all the extra energy it took to not only coordinate a 50th anniversary celebration and install the show and do all that work, but also at the same time create, put together, and coordinate a symposium with us. Nothing. That is no small feat. So we are here to honor and celebrate the first 50 years of Blue Sky and to engage in what the next 50 might look like. Thank you all for your dedication and for your hard work. With that, I'd like to open the symposium with our keynote, Blue Sky, Past, Present, and Future, and by introducing Chris Rauschenberg, co-founder, and Kristin Solomon, executive director of Blue Sky, Oregon Center for the Photographic Arts. Kristin Solomon is the executive director of Blue Sky. Born and raised in New York, she holds a BFA in photography from the School of Visual Arts and a master's in art and cultural management from the Pratt Institute. She has over 20 years experience in art administration with a concentration in strategic planning, fundraising, and marketing. Christopher Rauschenberg was born in New York in 1951, has practiced photographic arts since 1957, and has a BA in photography from the Evergreen State College in Olympia, Washington. He's had 127 shows, solo shows in 8 countries on 3 continents. Been very busy. He is also co-founder and board chairman of Blue Sky Gallery, where over the last, I'm going to say 50 years? Yeah. He has co-curated and co-produced over 1,000 exhibitions. He's also the co-curator and past president of Photolusida, and is the founder of the Portland Grid Project, as well as co-founder and current member of the Co-Outline Gallery. Without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to you two.
Thank you. Yeah, so we're excited to be here and talk with you all about Blue Sky. One of the unique things is having a founder that's been here the entire time. 50 years of an organization is pretty special. So having Chris here to really just tell us, Chris, about how Blue Sky was founded. I think in the spirit of community and collaboration we're talking about, I think that's one of the another really unique piece about Blue Sky. So love for you to tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you walk into an institution, it tends to feel like something that's kind of beyond your reach. It's like, I don't know where this came from. What gods created this marble imposing edifice? In fact, Blue Sky started, there was a storefront on 23rd and Northwest Lovejoy Streets that had front 2 rooms, weavers had set up looms and had a shared weaving space. And then Ann Hughes and Bob DeFranco had a dark room. And then on the other side of the dark room, there was a bathroom that was shared with the Guru Maharaji next door. So when you went to the bathroom, you were looking at the perfect master, you know, depending on which way you were facing. We had the weavers moved out, and Hughes sort of said, well, I don't really want another roommate who has to walk through the dark room to get to the bathroom. Maybe I'll just put some pictures up. And her friend Craig Hickman, these are both photographers, friend Craig Hickman said, yeah, we could have kind of a gallery. And Ann thought about it and she said, well, that's a good idea, because that way if a photographer comes to town, they'll come to the gallery and we'll meet them. So it was like this honey trap to meet other photographers. And so Craig and Ann said, well, I bet my friend Bob DeFranco, who I share the darkroom with, he'd probably want to be part of it. And Craig said, well, I bet Terry Totemeyer and Chris Rauschenberg would want to be part of it. And then we'll think of some more people. And over the 50 years, the gallery's probably been curated and run by 200 different people, I would say. It's an exhibition committee that changes constantly over time. It's not these same old crusty geezers trying to insist on their taste from 50 years ago. So that's very nice and flexible. And I think there's an important thing that happened there, where we started off just thinking that we would sort of show local photographers, because the Northwest is full of amazing photography, and Portland in particular. But almost immediately after maybe 2 months, we were getting show proposals from all over the country. So I think if you can figure out what's needed and do it, you think you're walking down the street, but you look behind you and you're leading a parade. You know, if you do what people need, they need it. So right away it fits in. And I know I have. We went from having 9 shows a year to having, it ends up being about 22 shows a year, having 2 shows a month times 12 months. But there's always something that makes it a little less than that. But and one after another, the various executive directors over the years will say, gee, our staff is just working so hard. Maybe we should make the shows a little longer so we're not constantly having new shows to put up and everything. It's like, yeah, but there's so many photographers for whom having a show at Blue Sky is one of the most important things that's happening to them in their life. And I don't know if you guys have ever been in the position where you go to Thanksgiving dinner and then you got to go to another Thanksgiving dinner. It's like the value of that second Thanksgiving dinner to you is very low. Somebody who hasn't eaten all day would really appreciate that second Thanksgiving dinner. So that's why we change the shows every month instead of every 2 months. It's because there's a lot of hungry folks out there who need to have that show. But I think for photography, it is this, I think, the most sort of democratic art medium. There's a camera like this in your pocket, and maybe also a camera like this in your pocket. But you know, you can go. I've traveled to Africa, to tiny towns, and there everybody has two of these in their pockets, because the phone systems don't line up right, you know. So I think it's something that you can take a picture. I took a picture on the way here of a pickle lying on the sidewalk, and it didn't cost me a single penny. I just took the picture. I have it in my phone. Maybe it's a good picture. Maybe it's a bad picture. Who cares? And I think that there's I like to think of photography as a sort of giant visual potluck. And you go to this potluck, and here's all this amazing, delicious food that you never would have thought to make. What is this? This pineapple chocolate float. What is this? This is great, you know. And you know, we have Nikel here, who's going to talk to you later, a fantastic photographer, doing work that when you see it, you go, oh, that's possible? Oh boy, that changes my way of understanding the world around me. And for me, I think of it as this giant visual potluck, and it's my job to come up with some recipe to bring to that'll make everybody else go, oh, just like Nikel, that makes me have a deeper understanding. And it may be because you're just looking at things differently. We each look at things differently. I mean, you know, there was that pickle on the sidewalk this morning, and I'm sure I'm the only one who took a picture of it, but everybody could have. I'm just the only one who thought that might be interesting. So I think every day there's an infinite number of things that you're walking by and could notice and find interesting. And if you do notice them and find them interesting, you may be the only one who noticed that until people see your pictures of it, and then they go looking for it. You know, if you've ever had the experience of getting a new car, and then suddenly that same car is everywhere. You know, it's like, oh, I just got this Prius, and now everywhere I look there's a Prius, you know, whatever. I haven't had a new car in 20 years, so my example's a little outdated. But, and I think, you know, I think that happens with photography. When I see a show, I might walk into the show and walk right by a bunch of stuff that I didn't notice. But when I walk out of the show, I'm suddenly noticing a bunch of things that I already walked by and didn't see, and now I see them because the show taught me how to do it. And I think there's you know, people often talk about art as self-expression, but it's not actually self-expression, it's team expression. And the things that I teach you to see make you able to take a picture that you couldn't take yesterday, and the things that you teach me to see make me able to see something that I couldn't see yesterday. And working together, we just deepen and deepen our understanding of the world. And like I say, it might be the way you're looking at things, what you're choosing to notice. It also might be that your life experience is one that other people haven't experienced. Maybe you're growing up at a different economic level than your audience, or a different cultural group, or I mean, maybe you're in a spaceship over Earth, photographing, maybe you're on the moon, photographing the Earth rising in the sky. That's not an experience we get to have until photography. And now we do get to have that experience.
So talk to us a little bit about what it was like to be a photographer back then in the 70s, and maybe how it's different now, or how it's evolved.
Yeah, I mean, all of this internet age, this is like not on the horizon at all. We had the five of us who started the gallery, and then all the other people who kept it going. We set up a weekly meeting because it was too hard to call a meeting. People didn't have answering machines. Obviously, we didn't have email. You're not going to call a meeting by writing a letter to everybody. So if you just have a weekly meeting, you get together and say, anything we need to figure out? You know, that was easier than trying to call 5 people and saying, hey, are you free on Tuesday night at 7? Oh, you are. What about you? Are you free? Okay, you are. No, you can't do it. Okay, let me go back and start over. What about Wednesday? I mean, you know, we didn't have doodle polls, we didn't have any of this stuff. So we just set up a weekly meeting. And there, at that time, 1975, the year sort of before and after that, that's when all the nonprofit photo galleries are born. I think there's like 7 of them. San Francisco Camera Work and Light Work in 1974. We're in 1975. Light Factory in Charlotte. I think HCP in Houston Center for Photography is a little younger. Photographic Resource Center in Boston. There were a bunch of them that sort of came into being for the same reason that ours did, just because it was something that photographers needed. For the first time, there are photography programs in the schools, in the colleges, which is partly because a bunch of soldiers came back from World War II with GI Bill, and all of a sudden you could study art if you weren't a rich person. You could still go to art school. So there was this big flood, and in fact, the center of the art world moved from Paris to New York because of the GI Bill. And it was the first sort of democratization of the art world in a profound way. I mean, you know, in the old European system, not only did you have to be a rich guy, an apprentice, you had to be male because women weren't allowed to be part of it. And anyway, it was very undemocratic. And that sort of stepped in and took over. So for us, we had a weekly meeting. We would get together. We would look at what was happening. People were sending us shows from all over because, there, like I say, there were only like a few places that would show. Regular, well, if I call them painting galleries, you'll know what I mean, weren't showing photography, and to this day don't. If you go to the galleries in Portland, most of the galleries may have one photographer on their list of people that they represent. Elizabeth Leach has more. She has me and a few others. One of her first shows she did when she opened her gallery was Henri Cartier-Bresson, who's one of the, by anybody's count, one of the 10 greatest photographers in the history of the medium. So she was into photography, but you know, it was not part of the regular discourse. The Museum of Modern Art showed photography, and very few other museums did. Portland Art Museum actually had a little bit of a photo collection. They were an early believer, but it was really hard to find out what other people were doing. It was hard to get an invitation into that visual potluck I was talking about. There were 3 photography magazines: Aperture, which still exists, the American one; Creative Camera, which is a British photo magazine; Camera, a Swiss photo magazine, and maybe 4 or 5 photo books a year. So every photographer who wanted to be part of this potluck was looking at the same basic menu of what was possible. And when the snapshot issue of Aperture came out, every photographer in America looked at that issue and saw Nancy Rexroth's pictures made with a plastic Diana camera and went, oh my gosh, there's something that I haven't understood was possible before. When Emmett Gowan's pictures of his beautiful, beautiful pictures of his family, taking the baby out of the bathtub, just the most simple everyday action that's happening in houses all over. Nobody's looking at it until him and saying, this is like a painting in the Louvre. This is like a Greek marble. This is this fantastic art thing. And you know, one of the sad aspects of saying that we only care about men's art is that domestic life was very underlooked at. Dad went off to work and didn't pay any attention to what was happening back in the home. And Emmett Gowan did, and a lot of other artists have. And building on each other, there's a richness there. So we sort of, for each of our shows in the beginning, Ann Hughes, the original mother of the gallery with the darkroom, she was a fantastic graphic designer. And Craig knew a commercial photographer, Jim Felt, who said, you know, there's a printer that they mostly just print menus for restaurants and stuff. It's not a high-scale printer, but they actually do a pretty good job. So we did a poster for every show, and we got the mailing list from Portland Center for the Visual Arts, which captured the Portland art audience, and from Light Gallery in New York, which was one of the 2 photography galleries in the eastern US. And so we were capturing the photo audience, and we sent out a post. We sent out 1,000 posters every month. And our little 9 by 14 foot space got to be famous because of our 16 by 20 inch posters.
And we have some in the back there.
We have some in the back,
We have some
yes.
vintage posters from Blue
Yeah.
Sky. We have a ton more at the gallery if you come down and visit. That's been a really fun part of this 50th anniversary that we're celebrating, is kind of going through all of the archives and taking a trip down memory lane. So Chris, why don't you tell our audience here and people watching what we've got going on for the 50th anniversary?
Yeah, so it's our 50th birthday was October 5th, just a few days ago, and we have been working for the last, I'd say, about a year and a half, trying to find all of the 800 photographers that we've done shows by. We've done 1,000 shows by 800 different photographers, and I have been trying to track them all down to do two things. One is to make as good as we can website for each of the 1,000 exhibitions, so that when you are a young photographer like we were and wanting to know what's on the menu at this visual potluck, you have a place that you can go, a watering hole that you can go to and see, I don't know, it's probably at least 20,000 pictures on the website now. It hasn't quite launched yet. It's about to become the past exhibitions section of our website. Some of them have just 4 pictures or just the poster if we couldn't find them. Some of them have 100 images by the photographer, and that's a sort of a lasting thing that we're doing. And then going forward, the next 50 years, we'll just keep adding to that 1 month at a time. Yu Yang, who does our website things, will be adding 2 new photographers to that watering hole, who are bringing 2 new dishes to the potluck every month. And then the other thing is, having found those photographers, I said, would you like to be in a show, to the photographers in our first 10 years, would you like to be in a show that's up right now with 3 pictures from your exhibition, 1975 to 1985, that exhibition, plus 3 newer pictures of your choice that you've done since then? So when you come into the gallery, if you walk around the gallery this way, you see 3 images each from 52, I think it is, of our shows that we had in our first 10 years. So it's about a third of the shows that we had. If you walk around the other way, facing them like a mirror, is the newer work by those same photographers. So you say, okay, these are really strange Craig Cuquemet pictures. What's he doing now? You go over here, and it's like, whoa, he's doing something completely different. And I think that's, it's a little mind-boggling because it's almost 300 pictures. And then because we want you to leave that this visual potluck completely groaningly full, we also have 50 prints from our members. We have an annual members show, which is usually an online exhibition, but this year we're doing it as a physical print exhibition, and we printed up 50. There's a larger show online from all of our members, and the staff picked out sort of the top 50, and I printed them up. And they're on the wall there. So if you wander down to Blue Sky, be sure to bring some like eye drops with you and stuff, because you're going to look at 350 pictures.
There's a lot to see, for sure. So, and the member...
And the posters.
And the posters.
Posters, 2 walls, floor to ceiling of
all of our
posters.
vintage posters,
Yeah.
and many of
Yeah.
them are also for sale. We do, this member show is on our community walls. We'd love to tell everybody about the different opportunities that artists have for showing at Blue Sky or getting their work shown at Blue Sky.
Yeah, there's the main shows, the 2 shows a month. One can apply to that. There's no fee to apply for a show.
There's no deadline either.
There's no deadline. We may be the only gallery that looks at unsolicited submissions. Hopefully there's more, but I don't know of any others. But we do that. We also have the drawers, which is for photographers from the Northwest, and that gets curated by an outside curator once a year. It's usually somebody from outside the region, and this year it was by Julia Dolan from the Portland Art Museum, but the year before it was by the curator of the Griffin Museum in the Boston area. And the idea is to take the photographers from the Northwest and give them a place to have their work seen by the public, but also get the work out into the larger world. So if you have an outside curator who looks at it, maybe they end up having a show at the Griffin Museum, you know.
And our next our next call for that, the next series is this October. So if you sign up for the Blue Sky mailing list, then you'll get the notification that's going out very soon. And the only caveat is you have to be living in the Pacific Northwest, and that is also BC, Alaska, Montana, Idaho,
Washington.
as well as Washington and Oregon.
And
so
is that
that's
Alaska?
Yeah, and BC and Canada. So we try to push the boundaries of what the Pacific Northwest is. Mike Vasu's here, who's on our panel. He's been part of the drawers before. We also have this wall called the No Strings wall. That there's a QR code right by the wall. You can scan that, and you can sign up to show your work on that wall at Blue Sky. Anyone can do that. So we really try to create opportunities for artists at any step in their career to have a show or have an opportunity to show their work at Blue Sky. Our community wall, where we're showing the members show, we often partner with other nonprofits or other educational institutions. We've shown student work from PSU, PNCA, professors. We've partnered with PAIR, Metro Community Housing, their Community Voices Project, the Black Gallery. So we're, Blue Sky from its inception has always been about community, from just, starting with 5 friends pulling their unemployment checks to create a gallery. And we want that same really mission and values to continue on, hopefully for the next 50 years. So we've got a little bit more time. I know we're running behind schedule today, but I want go ahead.
We're also doing this year, because we've concentrated so much on the solo shows, but we've had 60 group shows over our 50 years too. So each month we're recurating one of the themed group shows that we did. The first one was the dog show, which was a show that we did in 1975, pictures of dogs. We've just posted those. It's about 200 pictures by, 190 different photographers, something like that, of dogs. And we're about to, last night, the window closed for submitting to the instant photography show, which is going to get juried, and that'll go up next. Then after that, it's photo booth pictures. But each month, for the next year, we're adding another show that you can send work into. So that's another, having said photography is a team sport, and that teamwork makes the dream work and all that, to have a gallery that's just lecturing at you is not really the way things work nowadays. People want to be in a conversation of images. I can say just looking at work on Instagram is not a sufficient way to learn all the wonderful photography that's going on in the world, because the images, you look at them for a couple seconds and then they're gone. But it is a way that people can actually have photographic conversations, that you're not just being lectured to the way you are normally in a gallery or in a museum. You're not just sort of passively saying, we're going to tell you what to look at, and you just sit there and look at it. This is a chance for the audience to actually be part of a conversation, and that's really important to us, and that's why we've had this No Strings that Kristin's talking about. We've had that for almost all of our 50 years. For 40-something years, we've had a space where anybody can sign up to have a show. We've had these theme shows. As I said, we've done 60 of them. Now we're redoing a dozen of them. So we really want to be in conversation with you. We don't want you to come to the potluck with a sense that we don't care what you cooked at home.
Well, I think this is a great segue for Q&A, for questions. We would love to hear from you all. Any questions you have for Chris, or in general about Blue Sky?
I used to shoot with an old single lens reflex camera, which I still have. It's an old Micromat. And then I went to the digital format like everybody else. What are your thoughts on bringing that back, number one, and number two, as far as using it, number two, what kind of film should I use? Possibly.
Well, I was a film photographer for, Well, depends how you start. I started doing photography when I was 5 years old. I used my mom's Rolleiflex, which is a twin lens camera that weighed about as much as I did. And it was hitting the shutter with, it was like a kick like a shotgun. The pictures were all blurry. But she noticed that I really liked doing photography, so she went out and bought an enlarger and turned my bedroom into a dark room. We had you know what a Murphy bed is that comes down out of the wall? We had a Murphy dark room, and the enlarger pulled out and you set up trays on it. So in a way, I guess if I start from then, I did analog photography for 43 years, something like that. And I switched over to digital. The value of analog photography, we were just talking about this before the thing started, is that experience of watching a print come up in the developer is very powerful, and it teaches you that photography is magic. It's not technology, it's magic. And it's really important to know that. And also before the thing started, we were talking about night photography, and the digital camera can see a lot better at night than the film can. So for me, I switched over 2001, I think, I switched over to digital, and I haven't looked back. But I have tremendous respect for what the film camera can do in the hands of a photographer. Deanne Arbus talked about that you have something that you want to do as an artist, and your equipment has something that it wants to do, and together you come to an understanding. And I was once in Mongolia in December and January with a group of photographers having a show there, and one day for about an hour it got up to 0, but most of the time it was about 10 below. And I'm walking around with Thomas Alaman, who's a wonderful photographer. We've shown him twice at Blue Sky, including his pictures that he took in Mongolia. And he's with these 2 plastic cameras around his neck. And it's 2 1/4 film. So it's not like 35 millimeter. You don't get 35 shots. He's constantly changing film. The back of the camera, you take the back of the camera off and it's not hinged. You have to hold it under your arm. 2 1/4 film, to seal it, you have to lick it and stick it down, put it in your pocket, get out another one, load it in. You still have this thing under your arm. You got another camera swinging around your neck. And I sort of opened my mouth to say, gee, that looks awkward. And then I said, I just shut my mouth and I said, I wouldn't go up to somebody and say, gee, your wife is kind of ugly. Why would I say? This guy has this relationship with his equipment. He's making great pictures. Okay, things are awkward sometimes. Who cares? You're getting great results. So I think if what that equipment wants to do is having a good conversation with what you want to do, then use it, whatever it is. Whether it's an underwater Nikonos camera, whatever it is, be interested and open to that conversation. And I know it was, when I was a young photographer, a lot of people would sort of say, gee, I'm kind of at a dead end with what I'm doing. The series I've been working on, it's really time to move on to something else. I don't know what to do. So grab a different camera, because that different camera brings them a new collaborator. So I think that's it's an important thing to pay attention to. And of course nowadays, like I say, back then you didn't have access to so many other people's photographic visions. So that new camera was an important something to throw a nice monkey wrench into your works. I got myself a wide lux camera at one point because I was very anal about exactly where is the image of the frame, and my work is very much about this sort of if you think of musical composition, sort of visual composition within the frame. And I was just like, I'm not having a good conversation with my camera. I'm just shouting it out all the time. I'm going to get a wide lux where you have no idea where the edge of the frame is. It's taking an angle of view like this. And let me go to a tougher opponent for my desire to control things completely. So I've had that experience myself, and I think it's an important one.
Great question. Any more questions?
Can you talk about your submission guidelines a little bit?
For which?
Just if somebody here wanted to submit work, what would that look like?
Yeah, so you submit work through the website. You sort of fill in a form and upload images through the website. We have, as I say, a weekly meeting where we look at work and talk. Everything gets looked at. Everything gets talked about. We can't show everything because we're even at 22 shows a year. There's more good work than that. But then there's also the submission for the drawers once a year with the outside curator, and that's also, none of this has any cost to the photographer. We don't believe in charging the photographers money. So there's the drawers once a year. There's no strings, that you could just go into the gallery, and there's as Kristin was saying, there's a QR code. Just look and see if there's a slot. If there's a slot, put your name on it, and you have a show.
So I would say though, for the main gallery shows, if you're applying, we want to see like around 20 images of a cohesive body of work that's really meant to be ready for a show to hang. That we want to see a strong artist statement that really matches the theme of the works in the series that you're presenting. And it's pretty simple, straightforward process. And I think the great thing is that we've got, on average, 30 people on our committee, and everybody's looking at it. So there's been many times when we're sitting on this committee where work comes through and there's maybe just one advocate in the room that really sees what the work is about and what the statement is about, and is able to convince the rest of the committee and why it's so great. And I think that's just the beautiful thing about photography is how you're really able to see, we talk about this a lot at Blue Sky, it's part of our vision statement, like you're able to see the world through someone else's eyes, and how much empathy and how much connection that creates. So there's a lot of times people are looking at something and your story and your world may be so different from theirs, right? That it's hard for them to understand what they're looking at or why or whatever, but there's somebody in the room maybe that's like, no, I know this is very foreign to you, but I'm gonna tell you why this is so amazing and so special. And that's our mission at Blue Sky, is to inspire and build community between contemporary photographic artists and our audiences, and we do that through our exhibitions, through publications, and through dialogue. And that's where that dialogue piece really comes in. It starts right at the committee when your submission comes to Blue Sky, and everybody's discussing your work and your artist statement and the vision behind the work. But then there's more magic that happens when the work goes on the walls, and we do these artist talks. Typically, we have the artists that's showing on the main gallery walls, if they can come to town, we have them come and give a talk. We usually record the talks with the artist's permission, or now with technology, we can Zoom. So that's also really great too, because we still get that experience. But it's that dialogue piece. It's that piece where we're able to get people talking that's really special. And so that's what we've got coming up for the rest of the day, is we've got two artists here, Nikel DeVivo and Mike Voss, who have shown at Blue Sky in different capacities. And they're gonna talk a little bit about their work. And then we're going to have an artist statement workshop. Well, we're going to talk a little bit how you can craft a really powerful artist statement that I think will add a lot. So if there aren't any other questions, I'm going to say we're going to wrap up this portion, give everybody a short little break before we get to the next.
Let me throw in one more thing before we wrap up,
Sure.
which is whatever you think your goal is in photography. Really, the larger goal is to put together your team. You want to, when you're talking about having one exhibition committee member who's championing your work, that might not be the only room they're championing your work in. If I'm not going to do it here, but I could name 10 different groups of photographers here in Portland who meet and look at each other's work and give each other feedback, including the interim workshop that's been meeting since the 1950s. There's a team that you want to put together that consists of your fellow artists, maybe some collectors, maybe some curators, maybe just some people who just come into your show and like it and are excited about it and give you feedback. But don't think of this as it's me against the world. Think of it as I'm putting together my team.
Yeah, that's a great way to end it. And I want you all to know too that Blue Sky is part of your team. So we want to hear from you. And so one of the last things we'll just kind of leave, and you can do some thinking about over the next 2 days is, what does the future of Blue Sky look like? We're trying to figure that and shape. We hope to be around for another 50 years. And I think that'll really come from your feedback and the things that you can share with us about what you need, what you think would be a great way for us to evolve and grow along with you. So use us as a resource. We've got a great membership program. If you are a member of Blue Sky, you can be on this exhibition committee that meets every Tuesday, that looks at all the work, that curates the shows at Blue Sky. So if you want to be a part of that, I think that's a great way to build connections and get talking about work and just start building that community. I think it really is such a critical piece. And Kim was very eloquently sharing, like, say yes and make connections. That's what we're also here for this weekend, is for people to get connected and find allies and help each other. So thank you all. Thanks, Chris, for being here. Really
Thanks.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.